And so what you can do is since ours is an 18-week class, you can get one chapter per week per textbook. So, and they do have our textbook. I do know that for a fact. So you can request one chapter a week. So if you need, for example, the chapter for this week, you would go to that website. I've posted it in the chat. And right here, it says begin. So you click on begin. You're going to type in your first and last name, your ID number. You're going to put in your Merced College email address, your telephone number, and then how many weeks it meets. You're going to select that it's a semester 18-week class. The title and edition that you need is going to be Microsoft Office, Exploring Microsoft Office 2016. That's what you would type in here. And then what chapter you need. And it says use page numbers only if you don't have a chapter number. So I would just say, like, if you were doing it for this week, you could say Word chapter 3. And this is to get, so what they'll either do is they will either, okay, you won't fill out anything past here. But what you'll do is you will, they'll either email you the textbook. So they'll contact you. They'll either email you a scan of the pages for that chapter, or they can print it for you, and then you can pick it up in the lobby in the library also. And so to find the call number, if you go on here, you go to OneSearch, click on that. The call number is the Instructor Reserve Selection 005.5 MIC 2016 that's the call number. So that on that form, that's what you'll put in there. So you might want to get that first, and then you can type that in. Does that make sense? So if you don't have the book, there's ways for you to get it. Because what it is I can't keep posting that onto Canvas because that's a copyright issue, but you can request it from the library if you don't have access. All right. So let's go ahead now, talk about the chapter at hand. So this week, what we're talking about is doing tables and mail merge. And those are two things that commonly we do in business. So there's a couple of different ways that you can insert tables that we'll take a look at in a few minutes. And one of them is that you can go up to the Insert tab in the ribbon, and you can click on Table, and then you can choose exactly how big you want it. You can also draw table, and then the mouse cursor will change to a pencil, and it will allow you to draw out exactly how you want it. There's different options that you can do. So once the table's inserted, you can modify it in several ways. You can insert and delete rows and columns. So maybe you thought that you needed 5 rows, you only need 4, you can delete the extra row. So that's fine. You can also split and merge cells. So for example, we see that they merged this where it says company expenditures. We see that that is merged because it's one cell all the way across the top. One other thing just to note is when you're typing, let's say that you typed in there operating costs and you put in there the amount for the budgeted, the amount for the spent, and the amount for the difference. Let's say that you had something else. If you hit tab again, you're going to automatically get another row that will allow you to keep going. Okay, so if initially you don't put in enough rows, you can sometimes just hit tab, you get another row to type in. So we'll look at that. Taking a look at this a little bit closer is we see here that once you have the actual table itself selected and you go under the table tools, you have a couple of tabs under table tools. You have design and layout. Under the layout tab, you have the option to insert either rows either above and below or insert columns. Remember, rows go this way and then columns go up and down, right? So we have ways to do that. We can split and merge cells if we need to. We can also specify a specific size for a cell if we'd like, and you can adjust the text direction, etc., and then the data group, which will be some things that you can do in that as well. Then you see under the design tab, we see that you have the ability they have some predetermined what they call table styles there that you can choose from that help to make your table look a little bit nicer and also to be a little bit easier to understand. And there's options there also to shade the cells as well as to adjust the borders. And then this is the dealing with the alignment on the actual page. Usually when you insert a table, it's going to be automatically aligned to the left margin. However, you can have it aligned horizontal position anywhere between the left and the right document margin. Additionally, you can determine how document text is wrapped around a table. To display the table properties, you'll right-click anywhere in the table and then go down and click on Table Properties. So we see that we can have it, for example, have the table centered between the margins, which most likely that's how you're going to want it. And then you can adjust the text wrapping, either have the text wrapping either to be below the table or to be, you may want the text to maybe wrap around your table. You can also perform some mathematical calculations as well within a table in Word. Just to be aware of, because it might be a little different than we're used to, is when we talk about if we have an equation that has exponents, we're going to use the caret symbol. For multiplication on the computer is the asterisk. Instead of using like an X, we're going to use an asterisk. And then division is a slash. And of course, plus and minus and subtraction, that's standard. Also, just to be aware of, again, when we're putting in our equations, to make sure that we're watching the order of operations. This becomes important, particularly when you have very long algebraic type equations, that you have your parentheses, your brackets, all of that in the right place so that the computer knows to calculate things correctly. So the order of operations you remember is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It's one way you can remember it. So you have parentheses, what is it? Parentheses, multiplication, division, please, oh, exponents. So multiplication, exponents, and then multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, I believe, my dear Aunt Sally. Yeah. So you remember that. Okay. There's a lot of other funny ways that you can remember that as well, but that's going to become important when we start working with this. And so we see here that example is a formula that adds, subtracts, multiplies, and divides or multiplies cell contents. So you have A1 plus B2. You have to put the equal sign in front of it. And then you have a range, which is a series of adjacent cells. So A1 to F1, and we'll explain what that means when we get to that point. And then we have like sum is a function, and then the argument is telling it exactly what you want. So what we're telling here is equal sum, and then parenthesis A1 to colon to A10, we want to add. So sum means add, and then we want to add up all the numbers that are in cell A1 through A10. And then the average would be, again, the function is the average to find the average, and then the above would be whatever the average of whatever was above it. And then tables can be sorted in multiple categories. For example, would be sorting by the last name and then by the first name. That's fairly common, or by the city and then the state. Additionally, you can specify the sorting order, either ascending or descending. Recall the figure from the previous objective where the data group was the rightmost group in the Table Tools tab. Clicking sorting displays the sorting dialog box. So again, we'll look at that later on, but you can sort by numbers. You could sort by text. There's different ways that you can do that. And then just some different things that we can do to enhance our tables is we can apply border, which is the line style that is applied to cells and tables and areas. We've looked at that previously, but we weren't doing it we were doing that to text. Well, now we're going to do borders to our table and our cells within the table. And then you can use the border painter, which allows you to apply border settings to the table border. The shading, which we've again looked at previous, but this time it'll be to cells in a table, is a shading or a pattern that is applied to the background of a cell. And then captioned are number items of text that identify a table figure or object. So for example, in your book, you'll see like they'll usually have a screenshot and then they'll say figure 3.8 report tables. That would be an example of a caption, is when they're telling you, what figure that is. And so we see an example of a table, and this will actually be what one of the tables will actually be creating. We see that the yellow and the purple, that's the shading. and then the lines are the border. So we see that we have a double purple border around the entire thing, and we have a yellow border separating in the middle. And then we have a caption, which is Table 2 Sources of Economic Impact. So that is a caption. So then in your narrative, you might refer to Table 2 Sources of Economic Impact, and that way your reader knows exactly what you're talking about because you've given the table a caption. And the border, and again, just the border and shading tools are found in the border group in the table tools design. So again, once you have your table, you click on it, then you go to table tools design, you're going to get this. And so again, you have styles, then you have the paint bucket right here for shading, and that adjusts the shading within your cell that you have selected. And then you can also adjust the border. So you can adjust the type of border here, the thickness here, and then the pen color is what color the border is. And then you can use the border painter, which then your mouse cursor changes. You can use that then to click and drag over the border in the table. Word also enables you to convert an existing text into a table and to convert a table into text. When making these conversions, you provide information such as the number and size of columns and how the text is or will be separated. And then moving right along is we'll talk now a little bit about mail merge. So mail merge, you can use it if you're writing letters, you can use it to do reports. So for example, if we were in an in-person class, I would be using mail merge in order to, I use it to print grade sheets because from Canvas, I actually get an Excel file from Canvas because they don't have a way of being able to print individual grade reports. So I could take an Excel file and then I can format it a certain way, and then I can print individual grade reports, or I can print individual letters, or I can print labels for our customers or whatever. So that's an example of how you use mail merge. So mail merge combines content from the main document and a source, a data source. That data source could be a database, it could be a spreadsheet, it could be a CSV file, could be anything. And so if you're working at a big company, you might even have a database that you use for all of the functions in your company. You could connect to that through Word and then pull information from it, names, addresses, whatever. Or as I say, like an Excel spreadsheet, that would be a data source, and you have the main document, which you're working on. The main document is a document that contains the information that stays the same for all of the recipients. So whatever you specify in that main document, all of your recipients are going to get that, but it's going to be personalized then with the information from the fields that you use to pull from the data source. So data source is the list that was merged into the main document, and the merge field is a placeholder for variable data. Again, it could be a name, could be an address, could be a telephone number, could be pretty much anything. How to create a mail merge is the field is the smallest data element in the table. And so an example of a field might be a first name, could be the course title. So AOM 30 is a course ID. And then a record is the group of related fields that reflect one entity. So for example, person could be your first name, your last name, and then your address, zip code, phone number, all of that information is a record. So for example, at Merced College, we use a program that keeps track of all of our students and employees and all of that. Well, we all have a record in that program, in that database that lists our information, okay? But the field would be like first name, last name, etc. And if you use the mail merge wizard, you can specify the document type. It could be a letter, a email message, a envelope, a label, or a directory. The starting document, such as either the current document, or you could select an existing document or a template. And then a recipient, such as from an existing list, database, or spreadsheet that you can sort and filter. You could write your letter, which includes an address block, the greeting line. You also can include electronic postage on the envelope. So if you use a service like stamps.com or Pitney Bowes or something, you can actually print the postage directly onto the envelope through that service, through Microsoft Word. Then you can preview the letter, which is always a good thing to do before you print it. Preview it, make sure everything's right, and then you can complete the merge. We see here an example. So we see here an example of the Microsoft Word window, and we have the mailings. And so this is, they haven't merged it yet. They're about to, but they have everything in here. So they have the address block, dear, title, which could be Mr. and Mrs., Miss, or Doctor, and then last name, and then they have the letter here. So the personalization, what will be personalized is going to be the address and that. So the starting document is everything, and then they've added the merged fields in there, which later on when they do this, you can click on preview results. That'll preview it with data. You can look at it, see what it's going to look like. But if you click on this finish and merge, you either can print it right away or you can merge it into another Word document. So you could take a look at it, make sure everything's right. And if you need to then go in and make any kind of a correction or change anything, you're able to do that. And so we see here the completed mail merge. We see here where it said address block. Now it has this person's name. So it says Ms. Rebecca Hardin, Belk Inc., blah, blah, blah. So this is the address, and then it's Dear Ms. Hardin, and then the letter, whatever, you know, Trail University is making a difference in a local community and in a state, blah, 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 blah. So we see here that this letter then has been personalized with the information we pulled from another database or a list, and it's then addressed to this person. So it's a real, using a mail merge is a real time saver. First thing I need to do is to make a folder to save my work in. So I'm just going to right click on my desktop, which probably is a logical place. You might save it somewhere else. So we're going to call it Word Chapter 3, because that's what we're working on now, because that's what we'll save our files to. So then we'll go back. If I go into our course, and I go under the modules, and of course, you know that there's another link at the bottom to get to that. And if I change it to how it's going to look for you as a student. So if I go down to our week 4, which is where we're at, and we're doing the Word Chapter 3 hands-on activities 1 through 3. And it says to download these files because you'll need them to complete the assignment. So I'm just going to right click on the first one, W03H1 trailer, save link as, and then I'm going to navigate to where I'm storing them. And so for me, I'm storing them on the desktop. So it'll save it there. And I can do the same thing with the key findings document. Okay, so now we have our 4 documents. And then you see here that we're turning in 2 different items this time. Then we turn our textbook over to page 279. And again, I've not given you those pages, so you'll need your textbook for that. And again, if you don't have it, you can go there in order to request a copy of the textbook if you don't have it. But we're going to say that we've turned to this page. And so the first thing is, if you look on that page, figure 3.8, you'll see the tables that we'll be creating. And then if you flip on over to 280, it says to open W03H1 trailer and save it as W03H1 trailer _ last first. Remember, students, to replace last first with your last name and your first name. So we'll go ahead and open that up. We get this document. Now what we can do is, it's giving us an error about protected view. We can enable editing. And then we can go up here to File. We can go to Save As. We're going to save it in our Word Chapter 3 folder. And we're going to call it W03H1 trailer, last name, first name. So for me, it's going to be David Abbott. For you, it'll be whatever your last name and your first name is. So we hit Save. And then they want us to make sure that the ruler is selected, which for me it is, but you could check that by going up to the View tab and making sure that under Show that the ruler is checked. It is, so we're fine. So that's step B. The next part is I need to hit Control, which is the CTRL key, and the END key. That's going to take us to the very end of the document. page 5, and they want us to type in the following. So they want us to type in there, table 1 shows the top industry sectors in which Traylor University makes a difference in terms of economic impact. Period. And we'll press the enter key. All right, so that's step B. Now step C for hands-on exercise 1, step 1 is we need to go into the insert tab and we want to insert a table. So we're going to click on that. And then we want to make it a table that has 4 columns and 5 rows. So 4 columns, remember columns go across, and then 5 rows. So that's 1 row, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we can just go ahead and click. There we go. So then what we can do is in the very first column, we can type in the word sector. Then we can hit tab. Tab's going to move you over into the next cell. Each one of those boxes is called a cell. We can type in there the word description. Press tab, category, and economic impact. We can press tab again. That's going to take us down to the next row. And then we can go ahead and type in the information there that is printed there in bold for you. Be especially careful when you type in the numbers, because later on you're going to actually end up performing some mathematical calculations based on that. And so if those numbers are not typed in correctly, you're going to wonder then why it doesn't come out the way that you expected. So private hospitals. All right, so you enter data into the table to indicate community and state interests positively impacted by the presence of Traylor University. Now, notice when I got to this last cell, I didn't press tab. Now, if I had done that, you see there's a red box that says troubleshooting. It says if you press tab after the last entry, a new row is created. You can go to the top if you did that and hit undo. So now we're done with that, so we can hit control and end, and that's going to take us then out of the table. Then we'll press enter again, and then we'll type in there, this time, table 2 presents impact sources with a description of each, period, enter. Now, this time, what we're going to do is we're going to insert a table, but rather than doing it how we did for table 1, we're actually going to use and draw the table. So we'll go up here again to insert, this time tables, but then this time we're going to click on draw table. Notice that the mouse cursor changes to a pencil, and it says that what we're going to do, we're going to draw a box that's approximately 6 inches wide by 4 inches tall. Use the vertical and horizontal rulers as guides. Draw one vertical grid at 2 inches from the left to create 2 columns. The first column approximately 2 inches wide, the second at 4 inches wide. Draw 3 horizontal grid lines to divide the table into 4 approximately evenly spaced rows of about 1 inch each. Press escape. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a box. We're going to hold the mouse button down and drag it probably about like so. And then we're going to draw probably about like so. So one vertical line going down, and then we want 3 lines because we want 4 rows. So 1, okay. Actually, that's pretty good. And then once we're done, we can hit the escape key on the keyboard. Now, if for some reason those aren't exactly right, it's okay at this point because you can always go back in there and tweak them later. It says to click the eraser in the draw group and click the eraser to the vertical line in the first row so that the first row only has one column. So we can click up here under draw, you have the eraser, so we'll click on that. Notice the mouse cursor changes to an eraser and we're going to click right there. So that removes that. Now again, if you make a mistake while erasing, press escape and then you can remember always click undo. So now on step I on page 281, it says ensure that the insertion point is located in the first row, and it is. And so we're going to type there table 2 impact sources. And we're not going to have a period, we're just impact source, we're not going to put a period at the end of that. So then the next thing we're going to do is we can hit tab and then we can enter in the information that's in bold under step I. So the first one is employee compensation, and then we can type in there salary and wages to faculty. And we can hit tab. The next one is other expenditures. You need to support ongoing operations, and then finally capital investment. So we've typed in that information. Again, that's found on 281. And notice again that the text automatically wraps within the cell, and that's fine. That's what we want. So now what we'll do is in step J, we want to point to the above the category column in table 1. So the category column in table 1, just above it. Notice that so that the pointer resembles a downward directed black arrow. And so we see that. Click to select the column. Okay, so we've selected the column, and then we'll click delete in the rows and columns group of the table tools layout tab and delete column. So we realized that we didn't want that column. We'll click delete, delete columns. We didn't need that column after all. So now that's step J. Now in step K, it says to click anywhere in row 1 of that table. So we'll click anywhere within row 1. Then we want to, and then we'll click insert above in the rows and columns group. And then it says here, type in the first cell of the new row and type table 1, top industry sectors, do not type the period. And then what we'll do then is we have to add one more thing because we forgot so we'll click on the left edge of the horizontal grid line dividing sector 354 from 589 to display an insert control. Click on the plus indicator at the end of the insert control to insert a new row. Click on the first cell of the new row and type the following tab between cells. Do not press tab after the last entry. So we'll see this little blue line right here with a plus. We'll click on that. That's going to open up another area, and then we're going to type in there 215 retail interests. So 1,256,390,688. And then we'll do step M. So again, we don't hit tab after we get to the end of that. And then step M is we'll click anywhere within table 2. Point the grid line dividing. So we'll go up here and then we'll click on, so we have the table 2. So click anywhere in table 2, point to the grid line dividing rows 1 and 2 and click the insert control. So we'll click anywhere in the table. Notice right here, we'll do the same thing. We're going to add another row here. For right now, we're going to leave it blank. And it says to check the spelling for any errors. The Salida campus is spelled correctly, save the document. So we can do that is we can go, remember, up here to the review tab under proofing, spelling and grammar. And I didn't have any mistakes. If you did, you can go ahead and correct them. And then we'll flip on over to page 282 is step 2, merge and split cells and change the row height and the column width. So as you work with the tables in the executive summary, you notice that the first row of table 1 is not very attractive. The title in that row should not be limited to one small cell. More uniformity of row height and column width might also improve the appearance of table 2, and you want to add data to the second row. You explore ways to modify both tables by merging and splitting cells and changing row height and column width. Refer to figure 3.9 as you complete step 2. So that'll be what, once you're finished, this will be what you'll end up creating, is what it'll look like in figure 3.9. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to go ahead and position our pointer just outside of table 1, and we'll click to select the first row. Notice how the mouse cursor looks like that, and you click, it's going to select that. And then what we'll do is we'll go up here under the table tools layout. We want to merge those. So we'll click merge cells. It's going to merge them then across. And then B is we're going to position the pointer in row 2 in a border between the first and second. It should look like a double. So we're going to click and we can drag up in order to reduce the width. Maybe that may be about as good for now, but we can do that. The next thing we'll do is we will, so now step C, it says position the pointer just to the outside left edge of row 2 in table 1. O is the column width. Okay, right here. Okay, that was step B. And then we'll go ahead and position it just outside the left edge of row 2. And drag and select row 2 as well as the remaining rows, so all of them. And then what we'll do is with the Table Tools Layout tab selected, so Table Tools Layout selected, click on the top spin arrow besides height in, so right here, cell size height, to say 0.3. So that makes them a little bit better. Okay, so now step D is we'll position the pointer just inside the left edge of the third row in table 1. That is containing 487. So just to the left of that, not in it, but just to the left of that. The pointer should resemble a black directed arrow. So like that. So we'll click in that cell and we'll drag to select the contents of the first column, and so we'll go all the way down. Then what we want to do is we want to click on split cells. So again, we're going to go up here, Table Tools Layout, Split Cells, and then this dialog box is going to come up, and we want to make sure that 2 displays as the number of columns and at 5 displays in the number of rows. We also want to deselect merge cells before split, and then we'll click OK. Okay, that's important that you deselect that merge cells before split, otherwise you're going to have trouble. Then what we want to do is for step E is in the first cell of the second row of table 1 contains sector. We're going to type in there and division right after sector, and then we're going to go ahead and type in the data underneath the heading as follows. You can use figure 3.9 as on the previous page as a guide. So we're done for right now then with table 1. So now we're going to take a look at table 2. And so we're going to click in the second row on table 2. And then this time we're going to go up here to split cells. And we are going to make sure that 2 displays in a number of columns and 1 displays in a number of rows. Click OK. Then place the pointer on the vertical grid line divided into 2 columns. The pointer displays as a double-headed arrow. Click and drag to the left to align the grid line with the vertical grid line in row 3. So we'll notice the mouse cursor then changes to double-headed arrow. We'll click, drag it so that it's lined up then with the rest of this. So then we'll type in there source, hit tab, and we'll type in there description. And then we'll use the table move handle, which is in the upper left-hand corner of table 2 to select the entire table. So it's right here, click on that. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on the bottom, click the bottom spin arrow besides height in the cell size group to reduce the height to 0.01. So we'll go up here in size 0.01. There you go. And then we'll go ahead and save our document. So we'll just click on the save button. And then we'll go ahead and flip over the page to page 284. Now we're working on step 3 of hands-on exercise 1. So we'll apply table styles, adjust table position and alignment, and format table text. The tables included in the key findings section are complete with respect to content, but you realize that they could be far more attractive with a bit of color and appropriate shading. You explore Word's gallery of table styles. You also bold and center column headings and explore aligning the tables horizontally on the page. Refer to figure 3.10 as you complete step 3. So the first thing that we're going to do is in table 1 is we're going to select the second row, and then we'll go up under the table tools, under the layout, we'll click on Align Center. So under the alignment, Align Center. Notice now how that is. So now what we'll do is we'll select the cells that are containing numbers in the farmost column of table 1, beginning with 1,770,000,000. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and we'll go all the way down. Those will align top right. So we'll go up here, and then we click anywhere to deselect that. And then we'll click, now we're going to work on table 2. So we're going to click on the second row in table 2. Then same thing, we're going to click on Align Center in order to align those. The next thing that we're going to do is Align Center with the column heading selected, go to the Home tab. So we'll make those bold. And also the contents of row 1. So right here, okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we'll click anywhere in table 1, and we'll go under the Table Tools Design tab, and then we'll go ahead and we'll click on More, shows us all of them, and we're going to choose the List Table 3 Accent 1, third row, second column. Okay, so it's just called, I guess it's just called now Grid Table 3 Accent 1. That's odd, it's not the same. Let's just do this. Let's do Grid Table 4 Accent 1 if for some reason you have something different. Just do the best you can. I'm not going to mark you off if it isn't exactly the same, because it looks like that, again, might be something that got changed when they switched around the version of Office, because this is running, I have Office 19. So now what we can do is we can click to select the table again, and we want to make sure that they're saying some of the formatting was removed, and that's fine because we changed it. Okay, now step E is in the click on the first column box in the styles option. So that's going to remove the bold and all of that. And then we'll go ahead and click again on the second row of table 1. And just go ahead and make sure that that is aligned like it was. So the next thing we'll do is we'll click on the View tab, and then we'll go over here and we'll choose one page. So then you can see the one page, and then we'll go ahead and we'll change it back to 100%. And then we got to do 2 more things. And so what we're going to do is we're going to right click anywhere in table 1, and then we're going to go down to table properties. And this time we're going to click center in the alignment group, and then we'll click OK. Then we'll do the same thing for table 2. So it makes it a little bit tighter. And then it says that you can go back one page to view the alignment. I think we can see it pretty good here. And then we'll save the document and we'll keep it open. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and flip on over to page 298, which is dealing with advanced table features. Again, we're on page 298. Is we're going to use some advanced table features. So as you continue to work with the key findings section of the executive summary, you modify the 2 tables that we created just a little bit ago. The first table, showing major areas in which the university contributed to the economy, is modified to include a total row and to indicate the percentage represented by each category. You also explore Word's border gallery and design options as you customize the tables to reflect the color scheme of the university. Adding a caption to each table serves to identify the table and will be useful for your assistant as she prepares the table of figures later. You will also apply a sort order to each table to organize each into a more understandable manner. So step 1, which is to calculate using the table formulas and functions. And so we already have this open. We need to resave it. So we're going to go up here to File, Save As. We're going to go over here to Word Chapter 3, and we'll change this to W03H2 trailer, and then last first. All right, so we went ahead and we resaved it. So now what we're going to do is we want to make sure that we're on page 5, and we are. The next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and click in the last row of table 1, which is right here. So table 1, the last row, anywhere there. And then we want to, under the table tools, under the layout, we want to insert below. We want to insert another row. This time what we'll do is we will type under the description, we'll type in the word total, and then we'll go ahead and it will apply bold formatting. So we can hit Control B, or we can go up here to Home, make it bold. And then we'll put it in the top right. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to click in the cell immediately below the last economic impact number. So right to the right of total. So this cell right here. Now what we're going to do is in the data group, again, under the table tools layout, you see here formula. So we're going to click on that. And then you see here, it says the formula is equal sum, and then in parenthesis above. And then for the number format, we're going to click on that, and we're going to choose the one that, and click OK. The economic impact is, so I think we'll choose this one that says pound, comma, pound, pound, 0. Then we'll click OK. Yeah, there we go. So it should come out to 4,241,924,543. That's the total that you should get. Okay. Again, it looks like some of this, they may be changed from Office 16 into Office 19. And so if they did that, just do the best you can if you're using the new version. So the next thing that we want to do is we need to go ahead and add another column to this, because if we look at the figure 3.19, we see that there's another column that says percentage of total. So what we can do is we're going to click in the last cell in the second row of that table. And then we're going to go up here, insert right. So we're going to get another column. And in this time, we're going to type in there right there. We're going to type in there percentage. percentage of total. And you might have to go up here under the table tools layout arrange, click in the center so that it is lined up with the rest of them. And so we did that. So now what we're going to do is we'll click in that blank cell right next to where it says college universities and it has the number. We're going to click right there. This time what we're going to do is we're going to click again under the data group, again under the table tools layout formula. Now this time what we want to do is we want to type in there the following. And I'll explain what this means, but we'll type in there equal sign D3 divided by D8 and then multiplied by 100. And so what that does is column A is this is, or column A would be this. So A, B, C, and D. So this is column D right here, okay? So what you're doing is you're going to take this number and then this would be, so row 1, this would be row 2, row 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's what that means, okay? I don't know if any of you've played the board game Battleship. It's kind of the same concept here, okay? So D3 is right here. So it's going to take this number, divide it by this number, and then multiply the result by 100 in order to get a percentage. So that's what we want. And in a number format, we're going to scroll down and choose 0.00% for the number format. So it should be this number format. We'll click OK. So it tells us then that that is 41.83%. Well, I got something different there, but that's okay. Yeah, 7.3 is what it should be. I think they're going to have us change something, and that's why it's different. So it should be 41.73, and that's what we got. So now we're going to do the same thing under private hospitals. And then this time, what we're going to do is we're going to type in there equals D4, because now that's the fourth row divided by D8 multiplied by 100. Should equal 12.84%. So now what we can do then is we can do the same thing, but just changing it. So we go up here. So it's going to be equal D5 divided by D8 multiplied by 100. So then this one will be D6. Yeah, D6 divided by D8 multiply by 100. And then this last one will be D7. So equals. Perfect. So that's what going to be. Now you're going to notice that if you look at the figure on page 298, it's not going to match. And the reason for that is because we're going to end up changing some of these numbers. And so that's why what you have on your screen right now may not match the book, and that's okay. So we've done step E, we've done step F, and we've done step G. So now step H is we want to change the number for economic impact for real estate companies from 348,999,342 to 338,999,342. So we'll go ahead and change that. So we'll just click under real estate companies and then the economic impact. We're going to click on that. We're going to change it. Now notice that this number isn't going to automatically calculate, but what we can do is we can right click there on the number and then go here and click on update field. So we'll click on that. Notice then that the total changes then, and then we'll have to click on the the total for real estate companies. Notice then it's going to change. Now, guess what? Since we changed the total, we're going to have to right click on the rest of these and update field to go ahead and make sure that they pick up the correct number. So right click and update field. So that way then everything. So then if you look, compare that to what's in your book, then everything should come out the same. And it does. So you've done that correctly. So then we can go ahead and save our work. And then if we flip on over, for right now, just go ahead and flip on over to page 300. And so the first thing that we need to do is we want to go ahead and sort our table so that it makes sense. We'll sort the data in the table and include a reoccurring table header. So you sort table 1 so that the dollar amounts in table 1 are arranged in descending order. Descending means the highest number to the lowest number. That way it's very clear in which sectors the university had the most impact. And you can also sort table 2 in alphabetical order by source. The resulting table appears well organized. After inserting text from another file, table 2 will split between 2 pages. You repeat the table 2 heading rows to better identify the table rows that are carried over to the next page. And then you realize that that doesn't look good. So you're just going to put table 2 up on its own page. But that's fine. So for right now, what we're going to do, they want to make sure that the non-printing characters are displayed. And they are. And that's these little paragraph symbols, this little symbol here, the little dots. It is. If for some reason it's not, you can go to the home tab and you would click under paragraph, the little paragraph symbol right here, and that shows the non-show hide non-printing characters. They're on, so we're gonna leave it that way. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna position a pointer just outside the left edge of the third row of table 1, right here. And we're gonna click the mouse and we're gonna go ahead and select just the rows of data, not the total row. So just those. And then what we're going to do is under the table tools, under layout, we're going to choose sort. And then it's going to bring up a dialog box. And so what we're going to choose is we're going to sort by column 4, which we know is a number, and we're going to choose descending. Then we can click OK. So notice then that it changed it so then that they're in order, descending order. So we'll do the same thing for step C, is we'll position a pointer just to the left edge of the third row right here, and then we'll choose those. Then what we'll do is we'll click on sort. We'll sort by the first column, which is text, and we'll choose ascending this time. Then we'll click OK. So then it says capital investments, employee compensation, and other expenditures. So we've done that. So now these are sorted alphabetically. These are sorted by the greatest impact. So now step D is we want to include some text from another file. And the file you've already downloaded, it was on Canvas, and we downloaded it. What we're going to do is we're going to click before the word table 1 in right there. And then we're going to go ahead and press enter. Then we're going to click before the second blank paragraph in key findings, so right here. And then we're going to go ahead and go to the insert tab, the object arrow, and the text group, and then text from file. So we're going to go up here, insert. Under text, this is the object group right here. We're going to choose text from file. And then we're going to choose the file W03H2 key findings. So right here, insert. There it is. So it's already all typed there. Then we're going to scroll at the bottom of page 5 and notice what happened, that it now split table 2 now into across two separate pages. So that's a problem. So we're going to have to fix that. So, because now we don't know what this is referring to if we look at page 6. So we're going to scroll to the bottom, note that it's split between 2 pages, and there's several rows on page 6. These rows are not identified with table headings, the source description. So we're going to click in the first 2 rows of table 2, which is right here. We're going to select those. And then we're going to go up to Table Tools on the Layout tab, and we're going to choose to repeat header rows. Notice then that it's going to repeat them on that second page. So now step F, it says to click undo, click before the word to, and then we're going to insert a page break. So realized, wow, that doesn't look very good. That doesn't, that's not very helpful. So what we're going to do is we're going to click undo. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go right up here to right before the words table 2 presents impact sources. We want to put a manual page break. And so to do that is you're going to hit the control and the enter key on your keyboard. That'll insert a page break. You could also go up here to insert break and you could hit page break. So that puts then table 2 then on a page all by itself. And then we can go ahead and save the document. And then if we flip on over to page 302, we're going to go ahead and edit the tables a little bit. So we're going to include borders and shading and a table caption. So it says you expect to add more tables later, but decide to format tables 1 and 2 so that they are more attractive and color coordinated. You explore border and shading options, learning to, quote, paint borders and considering border selections from the border gallery. Because you expect to include numerous figures throughout the report, you insert captions to identify those tables. Refer to figure 3.21 as you complete step 3. So you'll look at that 3.21, you'll see that that's what it will look like once you have finished. Okay, so the first thing it will do is we want to go ahead, we'll work on table 2 first. So we'll click on the move handle in order to select the entire table. And then we'll go up to the Table Tools Design tab. And we want to click under Border Styles. So right here, we want to choose a double solid lines half point accent 4, which they say is the third one. Yeah, actually is. It's not it's in the third row, and it's the 5th column. So it's this one. So we'll click on that. So now we'll put, and then we could click borders and choose all borders. It has a double purple. All right. So the next thing we can do is we can go ahead and select row 1 of table 2. So I just click to the left where the arrow looks like that. That selects it. So now what we want to do is we want to go up here to the shading arrow, and we want to choose more colors, and we want to go to custom because we're going to specify a specific color. So the color model, we're going to go ahead and leave it at RGB, and then we're going to choose red 240, green is going to be 239, and then blue is going to be 29. So it's that yellow color, and we're going to choose OK. So it's that color. All right. And so then on that table, we're going to select rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we'll select the rest of the table. We're going to go up here to the shading arrow. We're going to choose purple, accent 4, lighter 40%. It's right there. So Traylor University's school colors are purple and gold. So you design the tables with that color combination. Okay. So we're not quite done because what we want to do now is we want to make the grid lines here separating these also. We want to make those that same yellow color. And I think what we'll do is I'm going to have to probably change the settings. So for the border style, we'll choose probably what it was. And then we'll go up here for the pen color. We'll choose under the recent colors, this yellow color. And then what we'll do is you'll make these other borders, the inner ones, yellow. So you'll go across. So the nose should be yellow, and then the outer border is going to have that double. When we're done with that, we can hit the escape key. And then if we go back, now we're going to work on our table 1. So for step G, it says to click anywhere in table 1. And then we're going to click on the move handle, which is in the upper top left-hand corner. And then we're going to choose the border arrow style, and we're going to choose the double solid lines exit for. Okay, so anywhere I do it, and they're going to ask us to change it. So under border style, we want the double purple, and we want that for the outside border. So we're going to choose. Okay, so we did that. So then the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and select row 1 right here. And then we want to go ahead and make it purple accent 4. So we'll go up here to shading, and then purple accent 4. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and choose rows 2 through 8 of table 1. So the rest of the table. And then we'll go up here and make it the shading, and we'll make it that same purple accent 4, lighter 40%. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click again to select the entire table. And then under the border style, we're going to choose this one. That same purple, but we're going to make it 1 point. And then under borders, we're going to go ahead and choose all. So you decided a more conservative format would be attractive, so you just do a purple border around all of the cells. So we take a look, we see now that this is how this table 1 is, and we see now this is how table 2 is. And then if we flip on over to page 204, step J, now we're going to do is step J, we're going to click anywhere in table 1. And then we're going to go up here to the references tab, and we want to click on insert caption. So we'll choose that. So then it says table 1. Then we'll press the space bar. Then we're going to type in there economic impact by industry. So that's it for there. So we're going to go ahead and click. Let me go back. So I may have to do that again. So it should be table, and it should be below the selected item. So make sure you choose that. Now you'll notice that it's this blue color. We will change that later. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and go to the Home tab. We want to increase the indent so that the table caption is indented slightly. Oh, and it should have a colon there as well. Okay, so we did that. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do the same thing now on table 2. So we'll click in table 2. We'll go up here to the references tab, caption, insert caption below selected item, and then we'll type in there a colon, and we'll type in there sources of economic impact. Again, you're not putting a period at the end. And then we'll click OK. So that looks good. So now the next thing we want to do, we don't like that blue color. We want to change the color. So we're going to go back to the Home tab. And now this time what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Styles dialog box launcher. Remember, that's this little button right here. We notice caption. If we click on the arrow, we can say modify for that style. So then we can click here to change the color, and we can choose purple accent 4 for the color for the text, and then click OK. So because we modified the style, it's going to change it in both places automatically. Also, anytime that we use that within this document, so when we go to create captions, if we were to add more tables to it, it would then automatically then keep that same formatting. So then I want us to save the document. So we're actually going to end up inserting another table to this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit Control End, and that's going to take us to the very end of the document. Then we're going to press the Enter key twice. So then what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and insert Tab, Object, and then Text from File. So we'll go Insert and then Text. So Object, and then this time we want Text from File. This time we're going to insert the file that is called W03H2 text. And then we'll hit Insert. You'll notice then that it inserted then the text from this other document. So this time we're going to select the newly inserted text beginning with description, ending with 178 jobs. So we're going to choose all of that. And then what we want to do then is we're going to go up here to click Table in the Tables group. Oh, here we go, Tables. So under Tables, you're going to click on the arrow. You see this, it says Convert Text to Table. So we're going to choose that. Then this other dialog box is going to appear. And we just want to make sure that it says that it's 2 columns and 7 rows. It does. So we'll hit OK. So notice then that it creates another table. Now this time what we want to do is with the table selected, we're going to go to the Home tab. Or actually no, Table Tools Design. And this time we're going to choose the one that is Grid Table 2 Accent 4. Grid Table 2 Accent 4, it's this one. All right, so we did that. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll do the same thing. So we'll make sure to click in the table. We'll go up to References, Insert Caption. Make sure it's below. So Table 3, we're going to call this Economic Impact by Employment. All right. And it says do not type the period, and then we'll click OK. So we went ahead, we put a caption in there for that third table. What we'll do is it's going to be in purple just like we did before. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click on the blank paragraph that is preceding Table 3, which is right here. And we're going to type in there that Table 3 summarizes the total employment of Traylor University. All right, so period. Now step F is we want to check the document for spelling errors, correcting any that we find, and then we're going to save and close this document. So we'll go ahead and we'll go up here to the Review tab, Spelling and Grammar. It tells us that the spelling and grammar check is complete. We'll click OK. We'll hit Save, and then we'll go ahead and close the document. And so go ahead and flip on over. We'll do hands-on exercise 3, and this is the last hands-on exercise. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to do mail merge. We've now written this beautiful report. And so now what we want to do, we want to create a cover letter then that will go with that report when we send it out, okay? So the executive summary is ready for you to send to members of the Board of Trustees. You merge a form letter with a data source of addresses, merging fields in the process to personalize each letter. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and open up W03H3 letter. So we'll go ahead and double click on that. And that's going to go ahead and open up the letter. And then if you get this protected view, you can click to enable editing. We want to go ahead and save it. So we're going to go up here to File. We're going to go to Save As. We're going to go to Word Chapter 3. And this time we're going to call this W03H3 letter underscore last first. And again, you'll put your last name and your first name in place. So now what we'll do is we'll go on the Mailings tab. And this time what we want to do is we want to click on Start Mail Merge. And then we will choose the step-by-step mail merge wizard, which is good to do if this is, again, this is your first time more than likely using this. So it's a good thing to go ahead and go through the wizard. Once you become proficient with this, you don't necessarily need to go through the wizard, but for this we will. So then it asks us to choose the starting document. So we're doing letters. So we'll go ahead and click next, the starting document. And then it asks if we would like to use the current document. We do. So we'll go ahead and click next in order to select recipients. Now, we don't have this list anywhere else. It's not in a spreadsheet. It's not in an Access database. It's not anywhere. So we're going to end up typing a new list. So we'll click on Type a New List. Then we'll click on the Create button. So then it's going to bring up this dialog box. So then we can click on New Entry, or actually we can just click there, and we can go ahead and enter the information and then tab through. If we flip on over to page 314, we see a table here that has their people, their title, their first name, last name, company, address, and an address to for a second address line, city, state, and zip. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and type that information in here. So I'm going to click and just drag this out just to make this a little bit wider so that it makes it easier for us to see. So we'll just go ahead and start. So we'll type in here doctor, and then we'll hit tab to go to the next. Curtis. Bracken. Company name is Allco Insurance. So if you just keep tabbing out, it'll start the next one. So then we'll do the next one, which is Dr. Holly. Lowe. And her company is Lowe and Associates. Okay, so this is the last name. So we've done that. And so what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and click OK. Then it's going to ask us to save it. And so we'll save it in our exercise file. So we'll go back to our desktop. We'll go down here to Word Chapter 3. And then we're going to call this W03H3 Trustees. And then we'll go ahead and hit save. So there it is. So now it shows then the data source is the file name .mdb, which is an Access database. And then we have then the names of that we entered. We realized, oops, we left out a name. So then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and choose data sources, which is W03H3 trustees.mdb, and we'll click edit because now we want to edit. We'll click new entry, and then we will type in there Mr. Robert Cobb. So we've done that, so now we'll click OK. It asks, do you want to update the recipient list and save the changes to W03H3 trustees.mdb? You can click yes, that you would. And so now you'll see that the name now is there. And we see then that all of the trustees are selected. And so for right now, we can go ahead and click OK. So now we have all of our recipients that we're sending this letter to now in the computer in the database. Okay, so now we're on step 2 on page 314. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click on Edit Recipient List. And we want to sort. So we'll click on Refine Recipient List. So we'll click on Sort. Then this other box is going to come up. And this time what we'll do is we'll click the Sort By arrow. We want to sort by city. And we will choose to sort that ascending. And then we'll click the Then By last name. Likewise, we will go ahead and sort that ascending and click OK. So now notice if we scroll down, notice that Densfield, Florence, we had 2 that were in Navarre, and then we had this one and this one. So it's now in order alphabetically. And then if we look at the 2 that were in Navarre, we see then that Cobb comes before. Okay, so that looks good. And so now we'll click OK. Now what we'll do is we're on step 3 on page 315 is we want to go ahead and insert our merge fields. So now, although the body of the letter will be the same for all recipients, you create merge fields to accommodate variable data, including each recipient's name and address. Refer to figure 3.31 as you complete step 3. So the first thing we'll do is we'll click after 2018. We'll press the Enter key. Then we'll go down here under the mail merge on the right-hand side. It says next, write your letter. So we'll click on that. Then it gives us some options for different things that we might like to add. And so what we'd like to add is we'd like to add the address block. So we notice where the mouse cursor is. It's right there. So we'll click on address block. Then it's going to let us select how we want it. We'll go ahead and leave it like it is. So we'll go ahead and click OK because the way it is fine. So that's fine. So now what we'll do is we'll press Enter again. And usually you start a letter with Dear. Now this time what we're going to do is we're going to hit space bar after Dear. Then we're going to have to click on this More Items. It's going to bring up this dialog box. It's going to allow you to choose the different fields. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead then and click Title. Make sure Title's selected, hit Insert. We'll have to hit Close. Then with the space bar, we'll click over here, More Items, and we'll choose Last Name, Insert, Close. And then we will put a colon at the end of that. Okay, you have to close that each time because you're not going to be able to put in the space and put in the colon if the list of fields is displayed. Okay, so you've added the salutation, including the title and the last name, followed by the colon. And so if we flip on over to page 316, they want us to click next to preview your letters. So we'll click preview your letters. Notice then that it has her address there, and then it has the information there. Now there's one more step. You notice that there's a lot of extra spacing here that shouldn't be there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select the address block from Mrs. Rebecca Hardin all the way through Densfield, New England. Then what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Layout tab, and then right here under Spacing After, we're going to change that to 0. Then we're going to click at the end of the zip code. We're going to press Enter again. So that looks a lot better now. That's how it should appear. Okay. So then what we'll do is we'll click on Next, Complete Merge. And it asks us what we want to do. Well, we can print this as it is. We don't want to do that. So we're going to click on Edit Individual Letters. So then it asks us which records. We'll go ahead and do Merge Records All. We'll click OK. Notice it's going to open up a new document, and now you see each of the letters. So now we're going to save this letters 1 document under new name. So we're going to go up here to File. We're going to go to Save As. We're going to choose our Word Chapter 3 folder. And we're going to get rid of where it says October 15th, and we're going to call this W03H3, and then we're going to call this Merge, and then last first. There you go. And then finally, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close out of this and close out of that. And we can save the changes to our letter. Close out of that. So now what we'll do is we'll go back to Canvas. We still have our assignment open. If not, you can get there for the Word Chapter 3 hands-on activity 1 through 3. We'll hit Insert Assignment. Then we'll browse and we'll choose our files. So we want to submit is we're going to submit W03H2 trailer. So this one, and hit open, and then we'll add another file, browse, and we'll choose W03H3 merge, last first. Okay, so those are the files that we're submitting. We can hit submit assignment. It's going to take it just a second, and it will go ahead and submit them, and it says submitted, and it lists those files. So then that's all there is to it.